rebuild or the favorites. We here for the latest. South side or the north side. Not tuned to the greatest. Home team for the home teams. Both sides got our own rings. On the mound or the long ball. But we don't pull the wrong strings. Yeah. It's that time of the year now. Wrigley or Gantes or the whole league that we hear now. New show with a new mood. Discussions and interviews. Trade rumors that might be. This is Pinwheels and Knife.
Welcome back to the Pinwheels and Ivy podcast. I am Aldo Soto, along with Kevin Fiddler. Find Kevin at KFids on Twitter. You can find himself at Aldo Soto 21. As always, the Pinwheels and Ivy podcast is brought to you by Sports Mockery. Check out sportsmockery.com for all your up to the latest minute Chicago sports news. Obviously, lots of stuff happening with the Bears in November, heading into December here. A lot of good news for us.
It looks like we lost Aldo. I wasn't sure. Right.
Mute or my
There you are. There you are.
volume just went out, or my audio just went out.
Just
But
like,
again, a reminder, Sports Mockery, sportsmockery.com. Download the Sports Mockery app and turn on push notifications. Kevin, it's been a couple of months there since we've been on, and luckily, we do actually have some news to talk about. The Cubs, Jed Hoyer, who last year we were all waiting patiently for him to sign an MLB free agent. I think that happened near the end of the right up
New Year's
until
Eve.
New Year.
New Year's Eve.
This time around, kind of early, but one of the first five major MLB signings. Matthew Boyd, the starting pitcher that no Cubs fan wanted, because I remember when that news dropped, a lot of people not happy. A lot of people still not happy. But let's go over it here. Matthew Boyd, 2 years, $29 million. 33, going to be 34. Coming back from Tommy John surgery that he had in 2023 when he was in his second stint with the Detroit Tigers. He was signed until June of 2024 by the Cleveland Guardians. He made his season debut against the Cubs. Remember that terrible sweep the Cubs had in Cleveland this past August? He pitched game one of that, shut down the Cubs offense. And that's when the Cubs offense was actually, turning the corner there. But he only pitched 39 innings because of that. He made eight starts, and then he had 11 more innings in the postseason. He was pretty good. Only gave up one earned run. He looked great. And you look at the numbers. You look at his career. He has 4.85 ERA. He's been a 4-5 starter. Most of his career, he's had I think one good season he had with the Tigers. An ERA below 4. He had another season where he did have more than 200 strikeouts, but again, it's not a guy that you look at the track record and be like, yeah, this guy's had ace potential before. It's like, no. But at the same time, for whatever reason, when you were looking at top 50 free agent list, Matthew Boyd's name was a top 50 free agent. His contract projection was around what the Cubs got him for. I think MLB Trade Rumors had him 2 years, $25 million. And Kylie McDaniel at ESPN had him 2 years, $33 million. The Cubs were right in the middle of that, 2 years, $29 million. That's $14.5 per year. There is a third-year option, so I think it's $10 million he gets in 2025. And then he'll get a $27 million or $17 million in year 2, and then a $2 million buyout after that. So the Cubs are backloading that contract a little bit in that second year. We've been reading the free agent stories for the past month. The Cubs aren't going to go for Corbin Burns. They weren't in on Blake Snell. I thought there's a chance that they could go after Max Fried. I thought that would be their Dansby Swanson type of, okay, we're not going to go all the way to the top, but we'll go to that level right below. It seemed like Max Fried was a good risk that the Cubs could take. That doesn't seem to be in play. So we start to look at that mid-tier, free agent starting market, and this one falls a little below that, but still in that similar, $14 million, $14.5 million per year. I don't know. I still don't know how I feel about it. I've been trying to, find the positives on it. It's like, hey, the projections for him seem fine. 4 ERA, 24 starts, 130 innings. I think if the Cubs get that, it's like, all right, that's what they signed him for, number 4 starter. Pitching, the big point here that everyone's like focused on the money. Pitching just costs a lot. Frankie Montas signed $17 million per year. His ERA was 5 last year. Yusei Kikuchi, great name. He was supposedly a guy who could have been on the Cubs radar this season. He signed for $61 million, $63 million over 3 years. Like, that's $21 million a year, and that guy he's been an average pitcher his entire MLB career as well. Just pitching is expensive.
Yep.
I don't think I like before I hand this off, Kevin. The weird thing about Jed Hoyer and like the way he's been operating is like he doesn't like to take like the huge risks, right? Like the huge like money long. He doesn't like the 7, 8, 9, 10-year contracts, right? But for whatever reason, he's more than okay taking these risks with guys coming off injuries, guys who, I guess they believe in whatever model that they looked at. They believe in whatever this new version of Matthew Boyd was for 50 innings in 2024. They believe in that. They're like, we'll give this guy $14.5 million instead of committing like a 7-year deal, 6-year deal for a guy like Max Fried, who has a longer track record. Yes, recent injury issues there too, but it's just weird the risk that this front office seems to be okay with compared to others. But what do you got on this, Kevin?
Well, I mean, you didn't actually say it, but the name drop that you drop in this is it's like Smiley 2.0. You're talking about a player that has shown flashes, and it's like he's striking while the iron's hot, and he sees something. And Jed is a garbage digger. He likes everybody else's trash. He doesn't find his own trash most of the time. But this is something that I think he thinks he does really well. And it's, if you look at Drew Smiley, he was sometimes good and sometimes absolutely horrific. And when you look at Matt Boyd's career, it's, the guy hasn't logged a ton of innings. Uh-oh, what happened there? I just lost something there too. He hasn't, logged a ton of innings as a starter. He's just, I think I'm telling a ghost story right now. My light totally just went. Interesting. I just unplugged my.
Well, looks like it's just me. But yeah, that was one of the names I brought up when he first signed, Drew Smiley's, and it was more of a just like their career arc or their career path is what I was comparing those two guys to. Left-handed pitcher, starting rotation, has been in the bullpen, has had success, but at the same time, it's $14.5 million. Drew Smiley was getting like $7, $8, $9 million per year. He originally signed back in 2022 when the Cubs were still pre-competing for actually trying to get back into the playoffs. Matthew Boyd, this is real money. This is like we're depending on him to be there semi-consistently. And again, I think the biggest part is like everyone keeps pointing to like, Matthew Boyd hasn't pitched more than games in like 5 years. Which is fine. But like there is some context here. It's like, all right, 2020. Check. Yeah, you're good. It's like the 2020 season, it was only 60 games. Guys were only getting 12 starts. 2021 is when the arm troubles first started. I think he had a triceps injury. He then had another forearm injury at the end of the year. And then 2022, he gets the right flexor tendon surgery. That shuts him down, and he only comes back at the end of the season to pitch for the Seattle Mariners. And he looks great, by the way, out of the bullpen. It was limited innings, but he looked great for the Mariners. 2023, he goes back to the Tigers, only makes 15 starts, and then gets Tommy John in the middle of the year. So because of that, he misses, obviously, the 3 months of 2023. He doesn't get signed for 2024 until the middle of the year. So, yeah, it looks a lot worse. But it was basically he had Tommy John in the middle of the year that cost him big chunks of 2 seasons. It's not like, oh, he had an injury 2022. He had, 4 injury stints in 2023. Oh, he came back in 2024, had to go on the injured list 2 more times. Like, no, it's just like he had a major arm surgery. Guys come back from Tommy John. This is his second year coming back from Tommy John. I think am I saying he's going to go 150 innings? No. But, like, everyone's like, oh, the Cubs will be lucky to get 80 innings. Like, a little too pessimistic on that front. Is he going to perform? That's my big issue here. Is like, are those 50 innings for real that we saw in 2024, or is he just going to revert back to the guy you're like, oh God, it's the bad Drew Smiley version. It's the bad Kyle Hendricks. It's like, oh, that's what you wasted money on.
Here's the killer part: is the fact that he was perfectly well rested. He had 8 appearances. He pitched 8 games, and then went on a postseason run. I mean, the dude was as what I would say is as well rested as one might be heading into that stretch before he went out, and he dominated. He was good. I mean, you can't deny how well he pitched in the postseason, but that doesn't matter if you don't get to the postseason, which has been the Cubs' problem. So you've got to look at that. And again, before I don't know, sorry about that, by the way, everything like flipped off on. I think I just popped the power converter or something. I'm
just glad I'm not the only one. We all have issues. It's early on.
We're sharing this. Is when you look at some of his other numbers. I mean, in 2019, the last time he actually threw more than 15 times in a season was more than half a decade ago. It was 6 seasons ago. And in that moment, in the season where he actually threw more than 15 times, he also led the major leagues in home runs. He gave up 39 jacks in 185 innings pitched.
A lot of hard contact.
That worries me a little bit. Now, when people say, well, he went to the Indians, the Cleveland pitch lab, he was there for half a season. Like, he wasn't he? I mean, he wasn't there that long, was he? Or was he there? Didn't he get traded?
He got signed in June, ramped up in the minor leagues, and then he only made 8 starts, and then the 4 or 5.
Barely part of that pitch lab. I mean, that's not a full year with that. And that pitch lab, well, the Cubs have brought over some members of the old pitch lab. That's their pitch lab. That's not the Cubs pitch lab. So you can't guarantee that same progress is going to continue on too. So there's reasons to be skeptical. I don't like how, though, again, we don't want to be the people that are immediately jumping on the move like this, because Jed does find diamonds in the rough. He, again, we talk about lightning in a bottle. He might hit it, but this is not like the kind of move that like screams like "fuck yeah, we're going for it" either. And that's, I think, where Cub fans are. I think Chicago fans in general are like thirsty for like just some positive news. Oh, point at this right here, because we're all in it right now with the Bears. But the whole, you throw us a fucking bone here. And this might be a nice precursor. I mean, last year, remember when we started the whole offseason with that big signing of Craig Counsell, and we thought this is going to be incredible. And then it just vacation for fucking, 9 weeks. And then, it's just, you sign, Garrett Cooper, I miss you. But all this stuff happens, and you look at this move, and it doesn't scream off the page. And what brings up even more of an issue or a question is, where does he slide into this rotation? If he's a back end guy, you've got obviously the Cubs have an ace, right? I mean, and the Cubs have a number 2. So that, and then you got to move into Jameson Taillon territory where him and Justin Steele are maybe 2-3. They might maybe switch back and forth or whatever, but you've got your 1, 2, 3 kind of locked up, and then you've got to dig into what's next. Look at these numbers, these people that you're looking at. Obviously you showed Steele, Taillon, and then we look at our next choices, and this is where you've got Webb. This is where you've got Assad. This is what happened to the hip youth pastor that, the Cubs passed on Colson Montgomery for, Jordan Wicks. Where does he slide into this? And then my guy, my fucking hill to die on, for a while now will be Ben Brown as a starting pitcher for the Chicago Cubs. Needs to be. And these are all things. So you're making this move. This obviously means the Cubs are out on Roki. And I'm going to tell you right now, my people, my birdies are tweeting plenty. It's San Diego or bust with Roki. It's not going to happen for the Cubs. Cubs aren't even remotely in, unfortunately, disappointingly. And Matthew Boyd is their pivot. That's what the Cubs pivot to. The Dodgers, when they kind of saw the writing on the wall, their pivot was fucking Blake Snell. So there's the difference between the Dodgers pivoting and a Jed Hoyer pivot. Jed Hoyer pivots to an intelligent spending kind of move. Maybe this guy will figure it out again and pitch really well, blah, blah, blah. And so there's a reason for Cubs fans to be pessimistic or skeptical, but there's also reasons to be optimistic, because if he does throw like he did towards, in his most recent body of work, if it's not an outlier, it's really, really good. And boy, would that be a nice number 4, number 3 in that rotation. But then what does that do with these other arms? I think that Jordan Wicks is probably better suited out of the bullpen because of the amount of pitches that he throws. He's just never going to get you deep into a ball game. He's a 5-inning guy generally. And until he figures that out, he's killing your bullpen. So he might as well go help the bullpen. And then you look at Assad, who can be both. He's flexible to do that. So, I mean, and Ben Brown is just, he's just as far removed with, arm stuff as Webb is, right? I mean, or Boyd is, excuse me, I keep saying Webb. And then you have, there's your rotation right there. Is that rotation enough to win the National League Central? I think so. And you got to have depth, right? You want to have guys that can, someone goes down, they can come back out of the bullpen and play that starter role for a little bit, which is what you would get with a Wicks or an Assad. But I don't know. What about Horton? I mean, where are all these, what we talk about, everyone always gets so like touchy feely about, blocking, position players, but what about blocking, Horton? What are we block? Is there a such thing, or is it just maybe this is it? So
like I think that
I don't buy the blocking thing, by the way. I think blocking's bullshit. If you're good enough, you'll be up. Period.
And like the thing that especially with pitching, and like the Cubs had overall the rotation was like okay to good in 2024. Yeah. They had a shit ton of injuries. Huh? Like, guess what's probable to happen again in 2025? There's gonna be like injuries. Yeah. So like that's why all those guys. This Matthew Boyd, if he goes 110 innings, I don't think that's necessarily a terrible thing, because maybe those last 30 innings are out of the bullpen in the second half because Ben Brown comes back and he's like, no, I'm here. This is like, I'm in the rotation. I'm taking over. Matthew Boyd, thanks for your maybe 15 okay to good starts. You're going to the bullpen now. Or it's somebody else. Or, Kate Horton at the end comes back. His shoulder's okay. He's ready to come in. You're going to need most of these guys. I think maybe one of them gets traded. Maybe it's like but I think that's like a smaller move. I mentioned maybe Assad just because he seems like he's the guy who does seem to have more value at this point just because of his track record. He's
a Swiss Army knife.
3 years.
He can do it both. He could do it all. Like that's the nice thing about Assad is he could come out of the pen. He could be a starter. He's reliable in both generally most of the time. So he's a Swiss Army knife kind of arm, which gives him value.
I think like he has some value there. Maybe Wicks gets traded. Wisniewski just, I don't know. I have no idea what value he has. Caleb Killian's still on the 40-man roster. He's still hanging around. But the point is, the Cubs have like 4 or 5 guys competing for those last 4 or 5, or for like the 4th and 5th spot. You add Boyd, you're probably still going to need to use those. Oh, Brandon Birdsell, another guy who came up at AAA in 2024, and he's probably on the verge of being an option if the Cubs need another starting rotation arm throughout the 2025 season. So it's a good thing. Again, what sucks is, and you mentioned the Dodgers, like they pivoted to Blake Snell. This move reminds me, it's all about your perception as what you think of a team. And the national perception of the Cubs right now, right? Because the move right now, it's automatically viewed dumpster diving, overpaying, wasting money. If the Dodgers make a move like this, last year they signed James Paxton. It's like a 1-year, $10 million deal. James Paxton, like the end of his career, and he ended up being like, he was average. He had like a 4.5 ERA or even worse maybe. But at the time, it's like, oh, Dodgers, this guy's going to be great for him. a couple years ago, Zach Eflin, who had a mediocre run with the Philadelphia Phillies, the Tampa Bay Rays, who don't spend any money on any free agent, all of a sudden signed Zach Eflin to a 3-year, $40 million deal. And everybody's like, what the hell? What do they see in Zach Eflin? But wait, it probably works out. It's the Tampa Bay Rays. And guess what? It did. Zach Eflin's been great. And then they traded him last year to the Baltimore Orioles, where he continued to be really good for them too. For the Cubs, it's like, it's so frustrating because, like you mentioned before, Jed Hoyer has found some like value in some of these signings. Shota Imanaga, we're coming off year one of him. 5-year or a 4-year, $43 million guaranteed deal that can go like 5 years, $80 million. Or 4 years, 54, and it can be 5 years, $80 million. That looks like one of the best deals that he's ever signed, that Jed Hoyer's ever like got. Marcus Stroman, he didn't get to year 3, but he had solid production in his 2 years. Jameson Taillon, who has been phenomenal from July 2023 through the end of 2024. That was a 4-year, $64 million deal, $18 million or $16 million a year. That looks like a steal compared to this free agent market. A steal. Again, Yusei Kikuchi, 3 years, $63 million deal. By the way, shout out to Zoe in the comments.
Hey, Val.
The White Sox don't have enough money to afford me, so can't sign Soto.
Juan Soto could own the team, though.
Could own the team.
Just give him the deed.
But not enough money for me.
That sounds dirty.
And then, but it's like, why? And then you have to balance it out. Who do you blame? Is it Jed Hoyer? Is it the Ricketts? Why isn't the payroll higher? Because then we go to the micro issue, right? It's like, okay, well, he has this budget. If they don't want to go over the luxury tax, which is like $241 million this year, is the first threshold. They enter the offseason with about $40-50 million in space. It's like, why are you using a third of that on this guy? Okay, that's a fair criticism. But then you can circle back around and be like, this shouldn't be an issue if ownership just says, hey, we need to get back to the playoffs. You go out there, you go out for the big dogs. If you go over the luxury tax, don't worry, we'll keep going. But it looks like they're not operating that way. So then we have to look at Jed Hoyer's moves and we have to like pick it with every little nuance here, every little detail. And we come out with, it's fine, but how much better did you actually get?
Yeah, and this
like it's fine. Like Matthew Boyd in a vacuum. Like fine.
Move.
Fine.
Yeah.
Right? Like fine. But then it's like, okay, well, how much more can you add?
Yeah.
Because the Cubs still need.
I have $4 left.
Because the Cubs still need probably another rotation arm. I mean, they have like enough depth pieces, but like they don't have.
No, I think they're bullpen.
Like they don't have like the same problem that they have with their lineup is kind of similar to the rotation. Love Shota Imanaga. Love Justin Steele. Taillon, great. Those are like, all-star caliber pitchers. Shota Imanaga finished top 5 in the Cy Young, like 5th in the Cy Young, right? Justin Steele, I think a year ago, he finished in the top 5 maybe. So, you have guys there who are getting there, but there's no like real like, this guy's been an ace for 5 years. And know it. Every time this guy, Shota Imanaga, I guess, is as close as we got to it. So this isn't a downplay on it, but like it's been 1 year in MLB.
Right.
I know he's older, so you do trust him more. Because it's not like oh, this guy just came out of nowhere, had 1 year of success. Is he going to repeat it? He's been a very good pitcher in Japan for like a decade, and then he just showed that he can do it against MLB batters as well.
I'm just not allowed to see him pitch live because every time I see him pitch live, he gets his tits licked. Like it's bad. But
the Cubs could still use the same way that the lineup could still use star power. The rotation could still use like a true. Or not a true, just like more star power, more velocity, maybe. Kevin, remember we saw that graphic? All the Cubs,
yeah, nobody can break the window with a fastball, but it's great though because they're all crafty. Brown throws hard though. Ben Brown throws hard.
Ben Brown, see, but the other thing about Ben Brown, and again, I do believe in the talent. last year he got to like what 53 innings, 58 innings. He's never thrown more than 104 innings in a season. He's still relatively young, MLB experience-wise, just because of that weird neck injury. He was cleared, though. That was the best news that the Cubs have had this offseason. He was medically cleared to have a normal offseason program, so he should be good to go. However, with young guy, the arm doesn't have the inning, that ramp up of year in, year out, 160 innings, 170 innings. So I'm a little doubtful that the Cubs are just going to let him go out there like, all right, Ben Brown, we're pushing you. You're giving us 180 innings next year. I don't think that happens.
That's where you get your depth, right? You have the depth,
and that's where Boyd helps out.
Maybe skip a start. Maybe go a 6-man rotation when you need it, because you have like an Assad or a Wicks back in that. You got that meat lovers pizza in the trunk, right? If you're talking about Tommy Boy, so
you trade Nico Hoerner for one of the Seattle Mariners starting pitchers.
You just watch your mouth, Mister.
So
you trade Price. Isak can go to Seattle.
Well, there's a reason that you want to trade Isak Freitas, and it's probably the reason that the Mariners wouldn't take him. So we have to look at probably the better player that they want to take, and that's Nico Hoerner. Nico Hoerner, at the beginning, back in October, I wrote out like the tweet saying, "I don't think the Cubs are going to trade him. Look what he's done. He's a solid player." He just seems like the mold of player that they want to, like that they want in their core. Like, no, he's not a superstar, but overall, fundamentally good. Good, great defensively. He's Gold Glove at second base. Does he have power? No, but he's above the league average hitter. Great base runner. Cool. 4-WAR player. Still got him for 2 more years. I was like, there's just no. It doesn't make. Why would they want to get rid of Nico Hoerner? October passes. We get the off-season previews coming in. I think it was before Jeff Passan had his, but you start to hear the little reports. Oh, Nico Hoerner might be a trade candidate. First start like, oh, look out for maybe Nico Hoerner's name comes up in trade talks, right? And then it goes a step further. Jeff Passan says, no, Nico Hoerner, Cody Bellinger, they're trade targets on the Cubs. Then you get the reports on in the Athletic from Sahadev Sharma, Patrick Mooney. It's like, Cubs could be looking to make moves this offseason, and one of those could include trading Nico Hoerner. And then this week, we get a report out of Seattle from, let me get the name here, from Adam Jude, the Seattle Times. He writes about the Mariners, who are kind of in a similar position with as the Cubs. You have a team who looks good, but they just haven't gotten the results. They had the best starting pitching rotation in baseball, and you would think, hey, you get the number 1 pitching, you should be in the playoffs, right? They only won 88 games, did not qualify for the postseason. They need offensive help. We thought that the Cubs would struggle offensively. The Seattle Mariners, just all season long, could not score for their starting pitchers, and it was a sad sight to see. So they're looking for some bats. Alec Boehm has been, a guy that supposedly the Mariners have been talking about, third baseman for the Phillies. And then Adam Jude in the Seattle Times also drops this little nugget on Wednesday from the Seattle Times. He says, the Mariners have also had preliminary talks with the Chicago Cubs about second baseman Nico Hoerner, a Gold Glove winner who offers positional versatility. The Cubs are seeking proven major league talent in talks for Hoerner, a source said. Kevin, we know Nico's been your guy forever. Mm-hmm. Is there a route? Is there a path? Is there a trade proposal, a trade hypothetical where the Cubs end up with one of those starting pitchers from the Seattle Mariners and Nico Hoerner is off to the AL West and you are okay with it? Does it make sense to you?
Because I'm really, 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 really annoyed that my 2 favorite players on the Chicago Cubs, Cody Bellinger and Nico Hoerner, are right back in the same fucking position that KB was with trade rumors. So first off, I'm going to preface this with, I sure hope whatever they do it fast, because it's not fair to those guys that even have to linger out there. because that's what literally was one of the crushing things for KB's psyche, was like literally waking up for almost 4 years, wondering if today's the day I'm going to get traded, because every single stinking second there's trade, KB trade. So that sucks. That said, with Nico, man, you want to talk about like having like an ace in the hole, is the fact that Matt Shaw exists in this world. And seeing how he played with Team USA recently too, it's really hard. I love Nico Hoerner, and I think that every lineup should have a Nico Hoerner. I think Nico Hoerner is a back control guy that can really kind of keep a lineup from being one-trick ponies, which is, as far as I'm concerned, Isak is a 100% one-trick Deadpool pony. Like, he is not a guy that can hit the ball the other way. He's a guy that's going to do everything. He's going to pull. He's a Deadpool hitter. He doesn't. That's him. Like it or not, and that's great if you have other guys that can do that with the bat in the lineup, that can actually use the bat in a more than, one specific way kind of thing, like Nico does. Nico's a gap to gap guy. He can punch the ball the other way. He can put the ball in play. He's going to steal bases. Him and PCA are going to, what a tandem to have those guys. There's like Snake, and how many stolen bases did he finish with this year? I mean, he got up there. I mean,
Nico, I would say like probably in the 30s.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like it was an if.
I did know that he had a slow start. He did, Nico. He did have the hamstring injury early on.
Yeah, he stole 31 bases. So
yeah.
In the last 2 seasons, he's stolen 74 bases. That's pretty good in this era of baseball, I think. I mean, and that gives you something again. It gives you a guy that you don't want a bunch of base cloggers either. I mean, you want guys that can actually giddy up and go and kind of score from
Matt
first.
Shaw's a nice base
Very
stealer
nice.
as well.
But the problem is, look at the rest of the lineup. You got PCA, you got Nico. Who else has plus foot speed in that group? Dansby's not that fast, right? Belly's not that fast. Saya's not that fast. Ian Happ's not that fast. Who else? I mean, who else is there that's going to score from first on a double in the right field gap? Just him, yeah, but that's it. And PCA. I mean, like, you're literally going to replace, but you're taking it out.
Replacing Nico with Matt Shaw.
I'm under the personal belief that you should have 3 of those, 6 of the others. I like 6 boppers, 3, we'll call them others, which are guys that can control the bat, that can move around the bases, that can cause havoc in other ways besides just coming out of their shoes every time. And we do know that sometimes the Cubs are not really good at manufacturing runs as it is. I mean, how many 1-run losses and how many times did they have opportunities this year where they could have, tacked on a couple runs here and there? You can't have too many of those guys that swing through the baseball. You need to have guys that have that talent, that ability to not just simply be a cookie cutter, lift and pull, long triangle kind of guy, but someone that can actually like chop the ball the other way, hit and run, move guys around, create havoc, which we've seen with baseball nowadays. Like, if you can create havoc, some of these guys, just the mental toughness isn't there and the wheels fall off really easy at times. And so being able to put that kind of physical pressure on an opponent is important. So with Nico being traded, I mean, there is some value in the Seattle, Seattle stuff. And I've seen some names tossed around. And I mean, with Seattle, we're obviously looking for bullpen help at this point, right? I mean, are we looking for starters or bullpens?
No, this is my personal opinion. I think it would be if you're trading Nico Hoerner, who, for them could be, he could start at second, he could start at short for him, he can be at third for him. He can play all over the place for him. You're valuing him at, you want one of those starting pitchers. I don't think you're going to get Logan Gilbert. I don't think you're going to get Drew. I think it's like Brian Wu.
Who? Munoz?
Brian Wu. Who, remember, we talked about last year with our guy Lyle from that Seattle Mariners podcast. They were originally offering Brian Wu for Luis Robert Jr. as like the main headliners. We obviously saw what happened to Luis Robert Jr. This past year with the White Sox, and then Nico Hoerner. We can discuss his value, but Brian Wu, 24, he came back from injury. Guess pitchers have injuries, guys. Like, get over it. It's fine. Like, it's not the end of the world.
It's really not. Sometimes it's even preemptive, like saying, "Hey, it's not. You don't need the surgery, but you could theoretically have it if you're not taking it. So let's just go ahead and nip it in the bud now." Like Tanner McDougal. McDougal didn't need Tommy John, but they were like, "Bro, there's some damage there, and we might as well just nip this thing in the bud. We're not in any rush. We'll get you here soon. Get 100. And then
So Brian Woo's 24. I think he made his debut in 2023. I think he's had like around close to 40 starts. ERA in the mid threes, has velocity, right-handed pitcher, something that the Cubs just don't have. Again, as we so painfully get reminded almost every off season and during the season, just the Cubs don't have velocity in the rotation. Do have a couple of those arms now in the bullpen, but not as many as I'd like. But the rotation just doesn't have those power arms. Brian Wu could be a guy. Bryce Miller is the other guy, 26. Both of those guys are still pre-ARB, so they're cheap. They're coming in. Not only have they been really good starting pitchers, you're getting cheap starting pitching. And what did we begin with the show with? Matthew Boyd, 33-year-old guy coming off, 50 good innings, got paid $14.5 million per year for 2 years. Pitching costs a lot. Maybe you have to include Nico Hoerner and, some other prospect. I'm not sure. I'm not talking like a Matt Shaw or like a Casey or Alcantara, but, like a 10 to 15, top 10 to 15 guy in the Cubs in the Cubs system, maybe. I don't know. But the main piece would be, Nico Hoerner, and you get maybe Miller, maybe Wu. I think it would hurt. It would obviously hurt just because what you're getting with Nico Hoerner. I do feel that Nico has reached. I think he's plateaued. I think he's as a player is what he's maxed out.
Yeah, he is who he is. I agree with you. And that's what makes it a little more palatable, I think, is that it feels like we know what Nico is. This is Nico. It's fine. Remember back a few years ago when there was like the Royals trade rumors, and it's like trade Nico Hoerner for or the Royals wanted Nico Hoerner for Whit Merrifield. It's like, no, like why? Why would you do that? Nico Hoerner's been in the league for like a couple of years, and still, even with how Nico, the Royals would have gotten the better player by a lot, as we've seen with Whit Merrifield over the past 4 years. But to me, this tells me, and there's also another little blurb, Bleacher Nation's Michael Cerami wrote that he heard a couple weeks ago that the Nico Hoerner, he wrote in Bleacher Nation, he heard a Nico Hoerner trade was getting quite serious. At the time, he couldn't really tell, or he wasn't told what team it was with, but now that we're getting this report from Seattle, he now thinks it was with the Mariners. Again, a trade hasn't happened. We haven't seen any of the reports like, oh, these trade talks are heating up. We just got the preliminary talks. But this kind of tells me the Cubs, I think the Cubs might be all in on Matt Shaw. Like, I think they're like, hey, we're willing to trade away this 4-WAR player, and we're just going to have Matt Shaw step right in. How do you feel about that? I mean, it's nice knowing people that used to play at Maryland and hear the Maryland grumbles too. And when a guy's told to focus at third, it doesn't tell me that they're sold on him up the middle. So why is this guy being told to work hard at the corner right now if they're going to need him to make that switch over? I know it's not that big a switch, and spring training always fixes everything, but it's been hammered home, it sounds like, from what I'm told, that Matt Shaw has been told you be a third baseman. And if that's the case, I don't know. It's hard to read these tea leaves, man, because you don't know. But I hope they better be sold on. If you're not sold on Matt Shaw at this point, I don't know what else he can do with the limited opportunities he's been given to prove to you that he is worthy of that opportunity. But at the same time, he's still coming in as a rookie. Let's not put undue expectations on a rookie, right, facing major league pitching over the whole course of 162 for the first time in his life. It's a hard game. It's not that easy. We got spoiled a few times, but he is showing the it factor that we look for, right? And, again, if Nico has to go, because we know where Nico's at, I do think that the ceiling for Matt Shaw is higher. And I think that we're not going to sacrifice that much defensively with Matt Shaw if that were the case. If you're going to put Matt Shaw at second base, I think that you're going to have somebody that's going to, the defensive drop up the middle isn't going to be very drastic, if at all. I think that Matt Shaw has the ability, and we've seen some incredible defense from him just this offseason in the stuff he's been doing this winter. I mean, and third base too. I mean, my God, some of the balls that backhanded that backhanded snag that he had where he still popped up and
Yep.
I mean he uses the long hops so well. And that's really exciting too. So I don't know. I mean, it's not as bad. It's again, PCA makes it a little bit easier for me to say goodbye to Cody if that were to be the case as well. I'm just happy Cody got paid. When everyone laughed at his contract saying that it was a Jed's league and is it Jed league, Cody kind of just basically said, and so it looks like Scott Boras got one over on you again, Jed. You lost that one too, just trying to play tough. But I'm good with it, man. Just like Ryan in the chat says, Nico plus a 5 to 10 prospect for Miller and Harry Ford. Sign me up. Eat Nico's salary as a
What do you
benefit.
think about that, Kevin? We know
in.
the Cubs need a catcher upgrade. Harry Ford, one of the top prospects for the Mariners.
Yeah, I like American-made Fords. Oh wait, what? Sorry. I don't know what that
I mean, that'd be great for our guy Joe with obvious shirts if we get a Ford in there.
Oh man, yeah. Oh, but those are types of, again, we've talked about it before too. I'm okay with Nico going to Toronto as part of a package deal for Vlad. If Nico's traded for something that upgrades the Cubs truly, and it's not like in the past we've seen it's the fire sale with the core,
like the Yu Darvish trade.
Yeah,
like they're not trading Nico Hoerner for teenagers,
right? If you're trading for teenagers now at this point, you should just literally just walk into Lake Michigan and keep going and just stay underwater till the bubbles stop. Because no, thank you. That's not what we want. And now, so
you did mention. I don't want to overpass because I do. It could also be a possibility. The Cubs do need reliever help too. They need closing help. They had all those blown saves in the first 3 months of 2024. The Seattle Mariners do have a guy.
Munoz, right? Munoz.
What's his name?
Munoz.
No.
Andres. 22 saves.
Is it Marsh?
Stan Marsh.
Hold on. Seattle Mariners bullpen. I wouldn't feel too hot about that. Like trading Nico for a bullpen piece. It wouldn't be not the worst idea, but
and they look like they had a pretty good closer if he had the opportunity. But he was
Matt Brash. That's what it is. Matt
Brash.
Brash.
Where's he at?
Matt Brash, 26. He split 121 innings. He was in the rotation and also had some close. He saved 9 games for him. But in 2023, what was his injury? Because he didn't pitch in 2024. I'm liking this.
Oh yeah, I was looking for him.
I think that's the big name.
Man.
Matt Brash didn't pitch for him in 2024. So what happened to him? I remember seeing this name pop up, under this Nico Hoerner trade rumor. And I was like, I remember his name briefly. Nasty stuff. But he was injured in 2024. Oh, it's the good old the good old Tommy John. So yeah, that's why he didn't pitch in 2024. I like this a little less. I'm okay with Matthew Boyd having Tommy John 2 seasons ago removed from pitching again, but not the year before. Don't like that as much. Still young, I mean, but I wouldn't like that as like getting a bullpen arm for Nico Hoerner. I do think it could be like a mega deal. Because maybe we can talk about Cody Bellinger a little later too. He can be included in this. Cubs take on some money. Maybe the Cubs, instead of the young pre-arb guys like Wu or Miller, maybe they get Luis Castillo. Mm-hmm. He has a bigger contract, but he's been an ace. We remember him with the Cincinnati Reds before he was traded to Seattle and got his extension. But he's another guy he's filthy changeup, just amazing changeup from Luis Castillo. Maybe the Cubs do a mega deal where it's like Cody Bellinger, Nico Hoerner, another top prospect. Cubs get Luis Castillo, Harry Ford. Oh, okay. Then. The problem is then who replaces Cody Bellinger, but we'll get to that a little later.
Yeah, that's something.
I do think with coupled with the Matthew Boyd signing, this Nico Hoerner trade rumor, which I do think would be for a Seattle Mariners starting pitcher. We also have this other looming trade that is eventually going to happen. We just don't know when or to who, but it just seems like it's a guarantee that in 2025, current Chicago White Sox pitcher Garrett Crochet will be pitching with a different team. The Cubs do seem like a perfect match, and we're not just saying that. I'm not trying to troll Zola this time. I'm not trying to trade him Nick Madrigal this time. The Cubs have 8 top 100 prospects. 7 of those 8 are position players. The Chicago White Sox want position player prospects in a trade for Garrett Crochet. The Cubs have like 3-4 guys who have already made it up to AAA. Question number 1, I'll answer it for you. Do you trade Matt Shaw? No, off the table. Untouchable. I'm sorry. Call me a prospect hugger. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Kevin, would you? Matt Shaw, if they're like, if Chris Getz is on the phone with Jed Hoyer,
No.
and he's like, I'm not doing this trade, it's going to be Matt Shaw, and then we can pick somebody else random.
James Triantos, but I'm not doing Matt Shaw on this one because Garrett Crochet has too much question
Prospect
marks.
number 2.
His question marks.
Casey.
Casey, I'd be okay with.
All right, let's build a package here. Let's build a trade package.
Again, because we got to take into consideration, Garrett Crochet has only pitched 1 major league season where he wasn't an absolute injury issue, correct?
Well,
And
I think
he's just coming back.
2020, he came up after he was drafted. He was fine. 2021 is when he got the Tommy John surgery.
We had that, and he obviously rehabbed with Tanner. Took him a year and a half to come back.
Yep, struggled in that. He came back. I think he came back too early. The White Sox
a little early.
That's another White Sox thing, though. It's like, is that a White Sox thing? Is that a Garrett Crochet thing? But you are
Health
right.
Is not, though. But that's my concern. Is there is some shine that is taken off because of the question mark of health, which is where the Cubs don't have to feel the need to give them. They already gave them Colson Montgomery, in my opinion. They traded Jordan Wicks for Colson Montgomery.
Let's include Jordan Wicks in this trade too.
Yeah, can we trade?
What if we go? Owen Casey, you mentioned him just now. James Triantos. So you're talking about what? 2 of the top 6 prospects right there for the Cubs.
Yep.
2 of the top 7. I'll look up James Triantos right now. And then maybe a pitcher.
I'd say Wicks.
What if they're like, we really like Ben Brown?
I'd probably take it.
So what if it's those 3 guys? Owen Casey, James Triantos, Ben Brown for Garrett Crochet, and you obviously hope that the Cubs extend Garrett Crochet because he did say that he
do it without the
the
guarantee of an extension. I wouldn't do it, but I want to stab myself in the eye with this microphone for losing Ben Brown. But yes, I think it would be a deal that's worth it.
So right now, I know that
be
prospect
fair, I think.
rankings change all the time, but currently, as we're recording, December 4th, Owen Casey on MLB Pipeline is number 2 in the Cubs system. James Triantos is number 5. And then obviously Ben Brown pitched with the Cubs in 2024. 50-plus innings, great in the rotation, had a weird neck injury. Still have no clue exactly what the neck strain, what muscle in the neck it was, but he's been medically cleared. That's all we know. He has a normal throwing program this offseason. Fingers crossed that he's back. White Sox fans, are you doing that deal? Cubs fans, I think it would, because I do believe in Ben Brown. I'm with you, Kevin. I'm just a little wary on. I'm more wary on how much the Cubs trust him for 2025. But I think long term, I think he's good.
And I think the White Sox fans, think about it. James Triantos is fairly underrated, I think.
There's a chance that James Triantos could become
Matt Shaw.
Exactly.
He could be a Matt Shaw too. Like he does a lot of the same things. He's younger, isn't he? Like by a year or 2.
He is, because he got drafted out of high school back in 20.
Where Shaw came out of Maryland. So
Owen Casey, by the way, top 100 ranking, he's 34. James Triantos is 55. So you're getting 2 top 60 prospects there.
Yeah. And
plus Ben Brown, who again showed flashes of ace stuff with the Cubs.
Yep. And I don't mind losing Casey. It would hurt a little bit, but I think that the Cubs have enough in the outfield where Casey, if you're robbing Peter to pay Paul a little bit in other spots, I think it makes sense. Again, I'm no prospect perv. I'm not over here. I'm not a prospect hugger. I'm over here. I'm not going to sit here and just be like, no. That's what they're there for. It sucks. You can't have them all. And guess what? sooner or later, 95% of them aren't going to pan out anyway. So, if you've got, it's kind of like when you're playing like when you're sports betting, and you're like, you're on a 17 parlay and you can cash out before the eighth one hits, and you're like, look, I got house money right now. Like, it's house money. It works. And that's the kind of thing it is right now, is you kind of can do that. And I think Crochet, the injury history should take a little bit of his value down as a concern, not much, but as a concern. At least in negotiations, it's, you always throw out the thing. These are my cons, if you will. But you throw that guy into the Cubs rotation, and I think that the Cubs have a rotation that can get him to the postseason first off. And I think that you've got with him and your upper part of the whole Cubs rotation in general, a rotation that could handcuff even the big bad wolf name is the Dodgers. Because let's be honest, it's not about getting to the postseason anymore. That's for kids. All right, tricks are for kids.
About being the Dodgers now.
It's all about competing with whatever the heck the Dodgers have. That's it.
The Dodgers are now.
Series and you're serious. You're doing anything you can to beat the Dodgers in a 7-game series. Period.
The Dodgers, what the Dodgers are doing right now, they're making like that Yankees, that like the late 90s Yankees team look like the underdogs, right? The Dodgers might go on a run right now. We're like, oh no, we hate these guys. We hate these guys a lot more than the Yankees. The Yankees still very hateable though, as we saw in the World Series. Because I'm not gonna lie, during that World Series, I was like, oh, Yankees lose. All right, good.
Ryan says swap Alcantara with Casey. Casey and I do it. I'm gonna say this. I think Alcantara is gonna be a better ball player than Casey. So I think that we're actually. That's a losing value to me. I'm a big Alcantara fan though. Like, I think he's my Casey. You like Casey, Ryan. I'm the same. Morton said I'm the same, except with Alcantara as well. I think that he's going to be very, very, very special.
That one's close with me because both players have had. I think Casey's had the more sustained success, like level by level. He starts out. Well, you've seen the development, more. It's like, okay, he struggles early in the season. The strikeout rate is crazy. You're like, wait, what the hell? And then you see it gets better. He has the hard contact numbers. He has the insane exit velocity. And it's like, okay, no, like this guy, maybe he'll strike out a lot, but like the power is real. Maybe he's like what do you think Owen Casey? What do you think Owen Casey can develop into? What do you think he is as a major league hitter?
I mean, it's what he does too. Like I think, I'm trying to think of a good comp.
It's tough, isn't it? I was going to say a name, but I'm like, I don't know. I haven't gone too deep.
Because he's a thumper.
I was going to say Joey Gallo.
Yeah. Or Schwarber.
No, but see, I don't know if he'll have the same.
He's a bopper.
I think he has more swing and miss than Schwarber. And I think that's my biggest concern about Casey.
That's the swing and misses can become a problem, especially with that transition to Major League Baseball too.
Because that's the thing in Major League Baseball, and we saw with Matt Mervis, it was like tearing apart AAA pitching, and then he got to the big leagues and just looked like he did not belong.
Yep.
And like with Owen Casey, when they exploit whatever flaw you have, they will attack it over and over and over again. And then when you think that you figured that out, they're like, no, buddy, we got your second flaw too. And now we're going to that. We saw that Michael Bush. We saw that like for a couple, a 3-week stretch, in like May and June, where he was just getting annihilated. And then he figured it out, but it took him time.
PCA too. He started getting that back left foot, back left foot spinner that he could not lay off of. Once he started laying off on that, like late in the season, you started to see a very different guy at the plate but then they find another flaw. And then they just
we got two comps here. We got Happ with more power. If he's Happ with more power, you don't trade him. That's like almost MVP player. Like that's MVP caliber player. Ian Happ with more power. You're talking about what does that mean? Like 30 home run season, Gold Glove, right fielder. You're not trading that. Mm-mm. Other Ryan says Schwarber-esque, like you said, Schwarber-esque, but that can field. I know he has a great arm. I don't know the overall fielding.
But I remember, like, it wasn't it last offseason we were talking about moving him to first base, and he's a future first baseman. Now all of a sudden everyone's like, hey, he's a right fielder. Stay out of there. I'm like, wait, whoa. Is he a first baseman or is he not? Come on. Now we got Bush. We don't need it, right? Ooh, but you can always load up. It's so
Now,
funny
with
how
Kevin
quickly like, the
Alcantara-
narratives change every offseason, because he was last offseason was, he's not really a right fielder. He's not projecting as a right fielder in the future anyway. He's going to be a first baseman. And then now this year, this whole offseason, it's like, I can't wait to see him in the outfield. I'm like, excuse? I mean, it is. He's going to be a fine outfielder.
I was there too. I was like, is he
Better
actually
outfielder than
going to
Thea.
stick in right field?
Yeah.
Is he just like a future first baseman DH? Kevin Alcantara, I think, if like he reaches his potential, he's like the star, right?
Yeah, he's the athletic material. He's the star material. Owen Casey's going to be that yeoman guy, like a guy that really grinds. But I think Alcantara has the projectability of a superstar type baseball player because of his athletic ability. He can do things that just Owen Casey just can't. Owen Casey is more like RoboCop, where you've got, Alcantara is more, that very long, athletic. I don't even know what I could compare him to, as far as comic book is concerned. But he's that it. Like Casey is strong and big, and that's great. But I think Alcantara, what he does, he's just got that stretch, and he's got something that it's just a freakish. There's something freakish about it that you can't really.
Now,
you can't teach, you can't coach, you can't use, you can't drill that into something that just exists in DNA is what it is. It's just genetics. He's just special there. And I think that guy is going to be something. And I think that's something we're not even taking into consideration going into the spring training. I'm assuming he's going to get that invite. Obviously, is he not going to? Is he on the 40?
He's on the 40-man roster. Well, yeah,
Yes.
he made it onto the active roster at the end of the year. Played a couple games.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so yeah, he'll be at spring training. He'll get a chance to go after it. Canario will get a chance to go after it, right? You got some young guys that can kind of push.
I do have to say, as I pointed out with Casey in the strikeout numbers,
188. My God.
Oh, no, he's still thick. He's still thick. Only 22. Maybe get that guy some steak and burgers.
3 inches taller, but 3 inches taller, but 2 pounds lighter than Owen Casey.
Kevin Alcantara does also have with swing and miss issues. He had like a AA. It was like around 27%. Last year he made it to AAA, 29% strikeout rate. So it's not like, it's almost a similar kind of big power, big swing and miss though. But like you said, he has more of the athletic build. He just has a skill set that Owen Casey does not have. Like Owen Casey isn't playing center field for the Cubs. Kevin Alcantara can play center field for the Cubs if he needs to like fill in for PCA or something. Mm-hmm. He can, steal bases. He can just do things that Owen Casey cannot. That was tough though. And
like dunk.
and probably dunk. I don't know. Maybe Casey can get up there. I don't know.
Owen Casey's that guy that dribbles with two hands. I'm sorry. I've seen it. I know his type. He's that guy, just put him on the block and let him just bully people, and that's fine. they do different things. Alcantara would be that 3 that plays that 3, that smooth, long guy that can both be a guy.
He's like, I was going to say Kevin Durant, but I forget Kevin Durant's like a 7-footer. Man, NBA guys are
like a Leonard.
Kawhi Leonard. Yeah, there you go. But I think we're in agreement. Matt Shaw, off the table. Sorry, Sox. Sorry.
Don't you even think about it.
Sorry. Owen Casey.
Maybe.
I mean, I would do Kevin Alcantara if they're like, hey, we want one of these two. I'd still do it.
Ryan said in the chat too, if it lessens the cost, maybe if it makes it only a 2-player deal, okay.
Maybe like instead of Ben Brown, it's Javier Assad.
Jordan Wicks.
Jordan Wicks.
Oh my God, I would love that. Not because I would love to see him leave. I only mean that because me and Justin Roman would have his texts would be insufferable if the White Sox had both of those guys, because like him and I mess with each other every time a Jordan Wicks throws well. It's like Patrick Wisdom hits a home run. Every time Wicks pitches well, I get a Justin Roman. Like, see.
Oh, by the way, you brought it up. We brought it up. We didn't do a show in November, but we can do a quick recap on the non-tenders.
Oh yeah.
Patrick Wisdom gone, Nick Madrigal gone, all of our favorites wink favorites are gone.
I won't stab myself in the eye with the
Pallet Time Pounder, Mike Talkman, surprised non-tender. When you saw that move, though, were you like, oh, like they're gonna give the prospects a chance here?
Yeah, that tells me that they're clearing. You got to clear the path of like some of the. Those are the guys that you can afford to like. Okay, bye. Like we're not gonna. They're not, you can replace.
Long overdue.
Yeah, and you know what? I'll be honest. It takes Patrick Wisdom and the pencil out of Craig Counsell's freaking hands. The way he would. Yeah, Michael Bush is finally like, fuck yes, I can actually like hit past the 5th inning against, a lefty reliever and one at bat, and then not have to leave the game so early. Because wow, every time he did that, it was like he was doing it on purpose just to piss me off. At that point, it was.
Do you think because of the injuries, it's kind of been forgotten about, and he's not really discussed in this way anymore? But like Nick Madrigal, and I know baseball draft picks, it's just different because like the outcomes vary so much with baseball. But like we're talking about one of the biggest draft busts this city has ever seen.
I guess so. Oh, what did I see? Speaking of I'll look at the pull it up a second. Yeah, is he? Is he?
He's the 4th overall pick.
Cedric Benson
he might not be on an MLB roster next year.
Yeah,
he might be out of the league in 5 years because he made his debut.
I wouldn't say Chicago history, but I might say in Chicago baseball history. But I mean, again,
baseball. Let's go baseball.
First round draft picks, it's not like the same thing. I don't put that kind of weight on like baseball drafts are such a crapshoot that it's just hard. Like you can, how many every year? 32 first round picks every year. Every single season, where are all these guys? It's fairly normal that it's not that normal in the NBA or the NFL that first round picks turn into flops, right? But in Major League Baseball, 3 of them might not be flops. 29 of them are probably going to be flops. It's normal, even if it was early and it was an early pick. I mean, it's fine. But it's just I mean, if you look at the hard part is when you do that. After the fact kind of analysis, and you look at everybody that he passed up on in that draft to stick with Madrigal, because that was that was 2019.
No, it was 18.
It was 18 draft, 2018 draft. Let's see, how did that one shake out?
Well, that's when the Cubs got Nico Hoerner, like at what, like 18?
Yeah, here we go.
Or no, lower, I think, like in the 20s.
Jonathan India, Carter Stewart.
Well, let's see, Alec Boehm went 3rd. He's been with the Phillies. Joey Bart, who was eventually let go by the San Francisco Giants. And then Casey Mize, a pitcher for the Detroit Tigers.
Man, actually, look at it. Everything. Look at everybody that's dropped behind.
Kyler Murray? I forgot that was the Kyler Murray.
Yeah, I mean, God, Kyler Murray was drafted that year. So if you really actually look at
this
the
draft, a bad draft.
It's a bad draft. The White Sox didn't. Madrigal's better than everybody that seems to have dropped behind him.
Actually, you know what? There's one name, and it specifically hurts the White Sox because the White Sox, when they draft this type of player, they succeed. Logan Gilbert went 14, starting pitcher. How did they miss on him? Because when the White Sox do draft well, it's starting pitchers, and they just did not have Logan Gilbert on the radar, I guess.
I'm going down the list right now. This is a really bad draft.
This is a bad draft. Nico Hoerner is the best, the best position player on here.
God, I'm in the 5th round right now. And I'm like,
well, Tristan
Quan, there's finally a player that's actually logged major league innings. It took like 2 rounds.
Bo Naylor,
David Fry, Cole Franklin. Hey, old friend. Nico Decolati. Hey, I know Nico Decolati.
Grayson Rodriguez, he got hyped up with the Orioles.
Okay, I know that guy. I didn't realize that.
Brady Singer, I think he just got traded to the Reds. Nolan Gorman. I mean, there's some hitters in this first round. The Cubs did get Nico in that draft.
Tariq Skubal in the 9th round. The guy that,
Skubal,
by the way.
Yeah.
Hey.
Shout out
predictions. That was my Cy Young Award prediction. Golf clap.
So Garrett Crochet. By the way, Garrett Crochet just put up insane numbers.
Yeah,
I know that his ERA went up in the second half when he was limited, when his innings started to get cut down. He was only pitching like 2, 3, 4 innings at a time in the final couple months of the season. So is that another plus, Kevin, or how do you feel about that aspect of it? It's like this was his first full year as a starting pitcher, but then. Now all right, so you're taking it good. He's fresh. Yeah,
stretch it out like caramel.
But
And I know,
but
Ryan, you
Garrett
brought
Crochet
up
was
Cam
insane.
Smith. We can't even get into the Cam Smith stuff. I'd say he's untouchable too.
Mm.
I would put him on the untouchable list. I think just because it's too soon and he is a freak, and I would like to. That would work, unless, of course, again, it reduces the trade damage elsewhere. But
I think that that's the big. It's like, okay, well, if it's those two guys, then what's the third piece? Is there a third piece? Is it, another depth, or not a depth starting pitcher, but what's his name? Nolan Connard or something like that. Let me look at the Cubs top prospects here. But Garrett Crochet, I mean, if the Cubs get him, like you said, that is a legit ace. If you look at his numbers, like he was basically striking out guys as if he was Chris Sale, but then he was walking guys like it was peak Kyle Hendricks. He was only walking like 2 guys per 9 innings while striking out 12 per 9 innings. It was insane. The pitcher I was trying to think of right now is Brody McCullough, who's at AA 23, number 23 in the Cubs top 30 list on MLB Pipeline. What if the White Sox go Christian Hernandez, who had a bounce back year?
good with
like
that.
a third piece.
I'm good with that.
Jefferson Rojas, who briefly was a top 100 prospect, shortstop. He's 19 years old, but again, low A ball. He's years away.
Can't hug him too hard.
That's right.
You gotta let them go sometimes.
And by the way, Jefferson Rojas is ranked 8th, right behind Cam Smith 7. Another interesting pitching prospect is Jackson Wiggins. He was the 2nd round pick.
Yeah. Jackson Wiggins.
He's also an interesting guy. Maybe he gets some trade buzz in some of these bigger trades. Another guy. So Garrett Crochet, like we said, Matt Shaw. Sorry, but you can't have him. White Sox. No one can have him. Only the Cubs can. Cody Bellinger is another player who is on the trade block for the Cubs. This isn't even a rumor anymore. This isn't us speculating. This isn't us like, oh, what if the Cubs do this? The Cubs are trying to trade Cody Bellinger. Again, it seems because of payroll. Chicago Cubs, number 3 market in the United States. Cool. Gotta act like the Tampa Bay Rays here.
Sorry, I have to interrupt. Caleb Killian is ranked as the Cubs' 30th ranked prospect, yet his ETA is 2024. They might need I don't think he qualifies as a prospect anymore, does he?
Doesn't have the innings. I think he's only had like 20 innings.
I mean, he's the 30th
Like
ranked
30?
prospect now, and he's pitched. That's sorry, I couldn't help it. I'm like, what do you? Hi, hello down there.
So Cody Bellinger opts back in after the World Series. He's going to make $27.5 million. He'll get at least another $5 million if he doesn't opt back in after 2025. The Cubs are trying to trade him. I think early on. What's up?
He does not have a no.
He does not have a. Yeah, that's right. He does. He's one of the few guys.
4 Cubs major league guys that don't.
That does not
Nico is Nico, Steele, Cody, and who's the?
Does Tyon have him?
Tyon's got a limited no trade clause. I think it's like 10 teams. Hold on.
Bush, I'm sure. I mean, Bush doesn't have a no trade clause.
Let's see here. Ian Happ has a no trade clause.
Like all the young guys don't have no trade clauses.
Is it Seiya? No, Seiya
has a no trade clause.
There was someone else. There was 4. There were 4 of them. Maybe I'm just at Tyon. Maybe it was Tyon. It was Steele, Belly, Nico, and then somebody, a fourth, whoever the 4th was. I don't know. Miguel Maya. No, I don't know. No.
Oh, Paredes. We're thinking about Paredes. Isak Paredes probably doesn't.
Paredes. Yeah, Paredes doesn't have one. Yeah, I'm so stupid. No, that's the guy that I think.
Thanks, Ryan.
That's the guy that I think I'd be okay with trading. I barely knew you. I'd be okay.
Interesting,
with that.
But I mean, I think down the road he will I just don't think this offseason is the time. Just because I don't see the Cubs getting value in that. But Cody Bellinger, I think, Bob Nightingale, I think one of the rudest, or not rude, but when I read his report a couple weeks ago on Cody Bellinger, I felt so bad for Cody Bellinger because it was like the worst kept secret at the GM meetings was that the Cubs were trying to trade Cody Bellinger, and guess what? Nobody cared. Nobody was interested. Nobody wanted Cody Bellinger. That was in November, though. They're all waiting for Juan Soto to sign, so that's fine. Because guess what? I think once Juan Soto signs with the Mets, guess who's going to come crawling to the Cubs? The Yankees. I don't know.
There's a short porch in right field.
I don't know what type of trade package the Yankees would put together for Cody Bellinger.
If they want to give us,
we'll take Judge, I guess.
I'll take Jason Dominguez for Cody, and
I would also take Jason Dominguez.
As much as I've made fun of him because now he's fine. Now it's okay to.
Now he's not an 18-year-old being called.
Yeah, he's not a 17-year-old. You think that he's major league ready at 17. Now he's actually like there. Like this is the time to be excited for a guy like him. He's 21. It's now. Boy, God, that was so annoying for a little bit.
At the time, I remember when that came out, and I think Ken Rosenthal wrote about it even before Nightingale, and then the Athletic guys wrote about it too, Sharma and Mooney. At the time, the basis was it would be difficult for the Cubs to trade Cody Bellinger because of the contract, because of the high salary of 2025, because he regressed in 2024, so the value isn't there as it was at the trade deadline in 2023. And if it was a trade, the Cubs would have to eat a lot of the money. Maybe they would get a decent prospect, but it's not like they're getting any like top 100 guy in return. But I think that conversation starts to shift after some other of these moves. Besides Juan Soto, there's Hernandez, who's a free agent. Teoscar Hernandez. A lot of people think he's just going to go back to the Dodgers, but maybe he goes to the Blue Jays, goes back with them.
Yeah, Blue Jays. I got my eyes on the Blue Jays hardcore with a guy like Cody Bellinger,
and then that opens the door.
And Cody, and
if the Blue Jays miss out on everyone again and they get used again,
how many more flights are we going to monitor this offseason? Headed to Toronto.
Do they turn to Cody Bellinger and be like, all right, well, what kind of package could you get there? I do think that not I don't know bidding war, but like I do think the Cubs will get something of value. I was like a month ago. I told you, remember, or a couple weeks ago when the Cody Bellinger trade rumors started to pop up and really heat up. I was like contracts swap salaries with Jordan Montgomery with the Arizona Diamondbacks. I think they can do better now. I think more teams will be interested.
Mm-hmm.
But like, what's the backup plan then, Kevin? Because he right now he's just starting right field here. So, like, is it Owen Casey? Is it the kid? Or are you just like, all right, Owen Casey, Kevin Alcantara, we're having two rookies platoon in right field? Like, what's the plan?
Yeah, and there has to be a plan. I mean, again, and are you going to be a contender and being able to keep pace with the Dodgers in 2025? Again, making it year 5 of not being a contender with unproven prospects. You got PCA for his first full 162. You're going to get those guys getting their first 162. Matt Shaw getting another one. 4 at minimum are going to be rookies. And then you're looking at Michael Busch in year 2 of being a regular everyday guy. I obviously, if you're not serious about winning in 2025, you can play that game, I guess. But God, it's not a good look. And I think if you can't get anything good for Cody, that's not going to be something that's game changing. Then I think you ride the depth. He's going to get banged up at some point. So you let these guys. Again, it all starts at spring training in the first place. Make these pups earn it at spring training first. Make those guys at least show that there's a decision that has to be made against Major League pitching. And I thought Shaw did that kind of last year a little bit. Even we saw that, especially early on in spring training. But it's a nice problem to have depth. But it also, you don't just make a move just to make a move either. You don't just say, I got to get rid of Cody Bellinger. Eat salary. What's the point? If you're eating the salary, what's the point?
Yeah, what's the point? Yeah, that's the part I just still don't understand. It's like, well, Well, then you still can't use money to sign somebody
Yeah.
else.
So you're already kicking the can and cashing out on a whole season because it's
Idea.
a chasm.
Houston Astros. I think Jim Bowden again.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Guy, but he writes for The Athletic. He wrote trade proposals, and one of them was Cody Bellinger to Houston. He had it was like a prospect. I think it was like an infielder or a pitcher, but I'm thinking bigger here. I want Kyle Tucker. He can play. He can take over right field, left-handed hitter, power threat. I think he'd be fantastic. I have no idea what the Houston Astros like what their plan is right now. They have Altuve. Bregman's a free agent. They let Correa walk a few years ago. They had that rookie Pena who had a great rookie season, then kind of regressed. They have Jordan Alvarez. Like, they have star power, but like they still have plenty of holes. They don't have a first baseman. I don't know how you get it done, but like, how are we? Kevin, help me out here. How are we getting Kyle Tucker? Do you want Kyle Tucker?
Kyle Tucker. Let's see what we're looking at. Let's look. I mean,
I think Kyle Tucker. I think he did have an injury again. That kind of beggars can't.
181 OPS plus, 4.7 WAR, hit 23 homers, drove in 49. Eesh. It's a lot of solo homers.
Look at the games played though. He did that in how many games?
78.
23 home runs in 78 games. Pretty good.
It's pretty good, but that's 78 games.
That's right. and that might be why.
But he played 157, 150 the two previous seasons and dropped a 5.4 WAR in both of those seasons. So that's not. I mean, he was fine. He was fifth in MVP voting the season before. So I'm not that him being a what was his injury? What did he?
I am looking at. He had a shin injury.
Right
shin.
That's the same thing that happened with freaking
Let's see. A right shin injury sustained on June 3rd after impact of two batted balls kept him out of action.
Oh.
Oh.
Well, it's bone, so that's good.
It's
bone. Bone heals easy. It's not a tendon, right?
Dude, he's only Kevin, 27.
Okay.
27 is still in the prime.
It's shin injury
what kind
doesn't
of
worry
prospects
me
are you
that
trading
much.
for him?
That doesn't.
Like, are you trading Owen Casey for him?
Yeah, sure. Let's go.
I love it. I like it. I like it too.
I'll play loose. Well, Michael, I'll bite. Sorry. Oh, that's a good one.
I just look at like the Cubs. That's what sucks. Like Cody Bellinger, if he would have just been good, really good again. If he just would have been really good again, we wouldn't be. Well, he'd probably be a free agent right now, so it would be a different conversation. We'd be like, "Fuck, we got to get Cody Bellinger back." But we don't have that conversation. We have, damn, the Cubs are trying to trade Cody Bellinger because of his salary. Kind of sad, but I do think the teams will line up eventually. I think the Yankees will be in there because I do think they're gonna. I think Juan Soto's leaving, and I think Steve Cohen's gonna be like, well, "We'll give you whatever you want. You're gonna play for the New York Mets." So I think the Yankees will be desperate. They'll want to make a move. Maybe the Blue Jays get in there. The Atlanta Braves are looking for an outfielder, but at the same time, they're not willing to like spend a lot of money supposedly this offseason either. So I don't know how that works out. But if the Cubs eat money, maybe you get better prospects there.
True.
I think that they have a catching prospect who's pretty close to MLB ready. I think Baldwin. He was at AAA last year. Some power too. So maybe you get him in a trade for Bellinger. You eat some money. Houston, maybe. Again, no idea what path they're taking this offseason. Maybe the Angels get crazy. The Angels have been spending money. They signed Travis d'Arnaud, Kikuchi, Kyle Hendricks. They're trying something. I don't know what that accomplishes for them in 2025, but they're signing guys. They're being active. I don't know how good all those moves are going to end up being for them, but they're doing stuff. Maybe, hey, Belly, Arizona guy, close to California. We know he loves California. Maybe that's it. I've not. Who do you want on the Angels though? It's like okay.
No.
But yeah, do you think it's a one or the other? Because like, there's no. I think Ryan mentioned it earlier. Like, there's no way they trade Hoerner and Bellinger this offseason. Or do you think there's a possibility they both get traded?
I've seen package deals. I've seen Yankees fans throwing them out there. Actually, I just saw one like a few minutes ago.
Oh, there's that horrible one. Yeah, I was for a couple weeks. I remember writing that up. This guy's on crack. It was an awful return. Do you remember the one? Oh, do you remember the Blue Jays trade proposal? It was Cody Bellinger. Oh man, what was that? Remember, it was for Vlad Jr. Where is it? Here we go. This was from who is it? Anthony something. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Kevin Gausman, and the Toronto Blue Jays would receive Michael Busch, Cody Bellinger, and Cade Horton. How do you feel about that? Let's talk about that trade for a little bit here.
Repeat that real quick.
So the Cubs receive Vlad Jr., free agent after 2025. And then right-handed pitcher Kevin Gausman. I think he's still under control for a couple more years. Veteran guy, 200 innings, gets you ERA in the threes. He's been really good. And then the Toronto Blue Jays would receive Michael Busch, Cody Bellinger, and Cade Horton. Cubs number 3 overall prospect.
I'd say I'd lean towards maybe.
I think I said I'd do it only if you know that you're extending.
Bingo. Yeah, you got to have that confirmation. Yeah, you need to make sure you have.
If you're losing Vlad after 1 year.
Oh no! Yeah, it's got to be kind of a. Yeah, no. It's if you've got that again. Same with Crochet. I mean, I think too. Any of those trades, you've got to make sure you have some guarantee. Like you're not giving up that much of a package if you're not getting the guarantee of the extension as well. That's just not. You're not going. That's not worth the rental at all. So you need that.
I'm saying it's with the prospects.
Yeah. That Mitch guy sometimes has wise words.
By the way, Mitch, you're not getting Matt Shaw. We already decided that for the White Sox. Yeah. You're gonna take Owen Casey and you'll like it.
Yep. You'll get
Owen Casey on the south side, short porch. Are you kidding me? That's 30 home runs.
Canadian. Yeah.
Owen Casey for Vlad in a package there. Owen Casey, okay. James Triantos, Ben Brown for Vlad.
Okay. Vlad is I'm fairly certain there's many packages from the Cubs that I would be completely okay with guys that I would normally not be okay with. He's so good that we forget that he's only 26. Like he's been good for so long that it's like he's so consistently good that I thought he was like 30 and I'm like 26. He's younger than Christopher Morel. I'm like, whoa.
He's still. I think he's still younger than Isaac Paredes. Or maybe like the same age. Man, just there's so. I guess. Do you feel okay? Do you feel confident that the Cubs actually do pull off a big trade?
Oh no, I don't. But I'm good. I'm good with being skeptical because then I'm shocked and I'm wowed. I'm not going to be vocally like grumpy grump, but I'd like to wake up on a Friday morning and here on the West Coast, it's already business hours in Chicago and Jed's made a massive deal on the East Coast and I'm waking up and the birds are chirping and I see, Vlad Guerrero is going to be a Cub. I will go outside and sing with the birds. I'll put pants on. Probably put pants on. I mean, depends on how excited I am, I guess, too.
Before we look at some free agent pitchers to finish off tonight's show, I was going to ask about your preference in these, when all these, the names get tossed around and, it's like, oh, the Cubs could be in on this. We've talked about hitters, Vlad, star hitters, Vlad, or, a star pitcher like Crochet, or you're talking about maybe some of those guys in Seattle. What's your preference using, or do you, maybe you don't even care. It's like, just get whoever the best available is. Would you prefer to use your prospect capital on starting pitching or on a position player?
I would prefer using prospects on a superstar. It's one of
So
the
you
rare
don't, like you don't care. So if it's Crochet, you're good. If it's Vlad, you're good.
superstars. I'm absolutely
You
established.
consider Crochet a superstar. It's 1 year, but he
Established
was a superstar.
superstars. Established superstars is my like. I don't care. Go for it. Like for me, I'd rather have someone that's proven to be able to do it at the major league level at an elite point where they're a superstar, right? And I'm fine with wondering what might have been with some of those other prospects because it's the right choice. It's the prudent decision. You're not kicking a can down the road anymore. You're saying right now matters, and this is why we're going to go for this person now. And
we'll see. We'll see. I definitely we're gonna hear a lot more rumors. The winter meetings do start Monday, and where are they in Dallas? They're in Dallas. So Central Time Zone. I think the past couple of years they've been out west, right? So for at least the people living in Chicago, we should if there are trades, like it's not gonna be at like midnight, which is nice.
And gone are the days of all the scouts and all the people working with the organizations going down to the lobby bar and drinking.
I was gonna say, like, you're not gonna find Jim Hendry at the bar.
Everybody's in bed. They're fucking nerds. I learned that when it was here in Vegas. I was so excited and like they're just all in bed. Fucking nerds. Like literally nobody. Empty lobby at like 9 p.m. at the Mandalay Bay. The Four Seasons. Nerds.
What are they gonna be doing in Dallas? What's the bar scene in Dallas?
Good. They got some really good. There's this place that's called Harwood something. Oh man, we're going there. I think like in like February. I think to go down there. Harwood something, and they got like a bunch of like restaurants. They have a place there. It's like a steakhouse, but it's also a museum of samurai. And it actually has like actual samurai like armor and weapons and stuff from the actual time period. And so it's like actually on loan from like the actual like Japanese museum. So I'm like, I want to go eat there. But I'm not a Whataburger guy, so I'm not too worried. I don't want Whataburger, but Dallas has got some places to hit.
Before we get to some reliever talk, Jeff Passan said on ESPN on Wednesday that, and I think there's been another report too. I think Alden Gonzalez, who also works or writes for ESPN, they've both said now that Juan Soto is expected to make a decision by Monday. Like he'll have his mind made up by the winter meetings, which should mean more action at the winter meetings. Teams know where the number one free agent is. You can focus on where you're going to pivot. If you're going to go after Corbin Burns now, if you're going after pitching, Willie Adames is the big shortstop free agent this year. I think everybody's seen the Yankees connected to him. It's like, if they miss out on, if Juan Soto doesn't re-sign, they're going to go after Willie Adames to be their shortstop. So I think we will see a lot more moves. Hopefully that does include at least one major Cubs move next week. Free agent closers. Cubs need closers, Kevin. I know. Yes. I think in October when we last talked, I asked you, the Cubs begin the 2025 season with Porter Hodge as the closer. How do you feel? We weren't so sure yet. I still want a proven track record guy there. There was a couple surprise non-tenders that happened with closers. Jordan Romano of the Toronto Blue Jays is a free agent right now, and I want him bad. This guy was absolutely filthy from 2020 through 2023. This past year, he only pitched 15 times. He was terrible. He had a 6.59 ERA in 13 innings, but he had an injury. A couple stints on the IL. He did have surgery on his elbow, but he should be good to go. I want him. If that's like a 1 year prove it deal because of the injury. If it's you have to give him 2 years with like a third year option or something, or a 1 year and a 1 year option with more money, do it. This guy has been great, had a tough year because of an injury. I'm willing to take that chance on Jordan Romano. I think you have some stuff on this next guy I'm going to bring up. I don't know how much you want to divulge here. Kyle Finnegan.
Yes. What if two guys?
What do you got on Kyle? Do you want to any of the birdies on Kyle Finnegan?
So, little Tweety birdies. Yeah, right now what I'm under the impression of, based on what I've been told, is that the Cubs both have offers both out to Tanner Scott and then to Finnegan. Now, what that means could be very, very well. Again, low ball. It could be just one of those things like they did with Shreve. The Cubs, I think they send out feelers, they send out first offers, and it opens the gates. But yeah, I mean, from what I'm told, there is already an offer out on at least out. It doesn't mean that it's going to get accepted. It doesn't mean that there's anything close, but it's negotiations. But it does mean that the Cubs seem to have at least directed their attention at either both or one of those two, and maybe they're just kind of like trying to at least throw in as many lawn darts out as possible. And if both sign, great. But the Tanner Scott one to me is way more appealing than Finnegan. Finnegan is okay. But Finnegan is a really bad. He's a fader. His numbers in the second half of the season, especially in September, are really bad. And he was really good his first 30 innings pitched this past year, and then his second half, a 30.1 innings pitched. I think he gave up 21 runs. So there's a concern there. Tanner Scott, not so much. That dude is balls. I need a Tanner Scott. You want a Tanner Scott? Tanner Scott can be your closer. He can be your lockdown guy. He can do it. So if that is true and the birdie is on point, Tanner Scott as an addition to the Cubs would be a slam dunk to me.
I think I asked. Well, I think I told you when you shared that the other day. I just because Tanner Scott's like the top free agent closer on the market this year, or like you can make one or two. That would be like a 4-year, $54 million, he'll get like 13, 14, $15 million per year. The Cubs as we've seen under Jed Hoyer just have not done that. So
like 5 for 60
again, no idea how in depth the conversation with the back and forth was, but did you get any sense of oh no, this is like a serious offer, or it's just there? That's all you got.
That I didn't get.
Offer for Tanner Scott.
That's why my immediate thought is it's Jed just throwing out one of those stupid fucking low balls to say that we tried, kind of thing. That's why I wonder what because we've seen how he dealt with now that I know how they dealt with Shreve. Now I know how they do things a little bit with negotiations, especially with like reliever guys. But
I feel like that's like apples and oranges because like no offense to Shreve, but
no. What I'm saying is, but the offer's never ever like if a player's expected to get 5 for 60, Jed's going to send you 4 for 48 or something. He's going to always. It's never going to be what you want. It's going to. And in this case, you want Tanner Scott. What does Tanner Scott want? Here you go. Take it. Let's move on. And that's the problem that I have. Sometimes you can't be Mr. Intelligent spending that stuff. You've got to just simply say, I'm going to overpay. If you want the guys you want, you overpay. You have to. If you don't want the guys you want, look, then don't overpay. And you're just going to keep playing, being that guy that shows up to prom stag because everybody got a date because everybody else is willing to ask someone else and, say, hey, I got a limo and you're riding up on your moped or whatever, your Vespa. So you got to overpay. And if you want the guy, and I think that he can be the guy, and this has been a big problem for the Cubs considerably for a bit now, lock him up, set him up. You got 5 guys, set it, forget it. You good? 5 years, $65 million does the deal. Hello, let's go. Now, what else can you do? How can we find our bridgers? Maybe how can we improve the rotation? But you've got your closer, and these are things that now you can actually just you don't have to play roulette. Going into last season with Alzolay to being a closer was not prudent, I guess, especially now seeing it. We don't want to be, Mr. Captain Hindsight, but we all had, I think, concerns anyway about that going in. This is a guy that there's no concerns. This guy's just proven to go out. He just gets outs. He misses barrels. He's
looking at the some of the contract projections for Tanner Scott, 4 years, $56 million. We got here on Fangraphs, 4 years, $60 million. Yeah, so we're talking, $14-15 million AAV. That'd be great. I think that would be man. If again, hypothetically speaking, look, now we're gonna speculate off that. If the Cubs have an offer for Tanner Scott, and we know the payroll restrictions that they seem to be operating under, that makes me believe that like they have a Cody Bellinger deal lined up, where it's like they
they could
know
be
that they're going
expecting
to
it,
have
yeah.
some money.
This is the thing, yeah. Maybe they're, and again, obviously we're not privy to these discussions. But yeah, what if they're like,
Right.
"Hey, look, we are going to come into a, we're gonna, my grandpa's dying in a couple weeks. They're going to be coming into some good money here real soon. Just hang on, and we'll get you." You know,
Because
maybe that's what
because
we
again,
see.
otherwise it just like the Cubs have not spent on relief. And Hector Neris was like their biggest free agent signing last year. That was $11 million
It's bad.
or $10 million, whatever it was, $9 million.
Yep. And that was
Wasn't
was
that
that the deal? Was that the first deal last year? Was Neris the deal? Was he the first contract? Was he the New Year's Eve or whatever signing?
I forget because
It might have been him, or was it a catcher?
The contract I remember was Shota. I don't even remember before that.
Oh, I forget what it was. I feel like it might have been him. He might have been. Hold on.
It might have been Hector Neris.
Let's see here.
Was it Hector? Hector Neris.
No, he signed in February. No, he signed in February, so it wasn't him.
He was late. Who was
yeah,
the
he was
Cubs' first?
Oh man, hold on. Cubs transactions. It was like New
Hilaire,
Year's,
yeah. Let's
it was
see.
New Year's Day or New Year's Eve or like the 30th. I'm fairly certain. Let's see, December 23. Here we go.
Colton Brewer, minor league deal.
There we go. Ethan
Jorge
Robert.
Alfaro. Nope, there's nothing in December.
Oh, how did I go to January?
They
24th.
did. Yeah, no, I don't think it. They had the Michael Busch trade January 24th. Yeah, no, I think it was Shota. Shota was the. That was when it was made official, the 24th of January.
I swear they had like a deal like on the 20. There's like the 29th or the 30th. I guess not. Boy.
Yeah, no, it was. Remember, because it was going into.
So they didn't make a free agent signing until after New Year's.
Because I think that was the big thing. Remember, it's like, yeah, it's the new year. The Cubs. I think the Cubs were like one of the last teams to sign an MLB deal.
Yeah. Well, that was like the joke. Is like, are we going to make it to the New Year?
It was like every single team. It's like, has your team signed an MLB free agent? 29, yes. Cubs 1, no. Like, was the only team who still hadn't signed. So hey, Jed Hoyer way has scheduled with Matthew Boyd.
Whew. Wow. Boy, my memory I thought I actually gave Jed too much credit. Shit. Too much credit. Look at that. Wow. That's history.
I mean, hey, if he gets Tanner Scott, holy shit.
Let's go. Party it up. Crack the beers, right? Well, that's a good thing to have. It's a nice, honestly. But here's the thing: you maybe you do have that set up, so keep an eye on the Bellinger stuff, and then if Tanner Scott hasn't signed and Bellinger hasn't been traded, keep an eye on both as like a tandem thing, and maybe Cody gets traded, you get a Tanner Scott like a day or two later. Like who knows? But I don't know. My faith in Jed ever being on the up and up with any kind of offer is just absolutely like void. There's none. I just don't believe him ever. He'll never give here's me. If I want to take someone out, if I'm digging on someone and I'm like, hey, and they're like, to go out with you, I need you to promise that you're not going to be, I need you to promise me that you're going to take me to dinner. Okay. Then me going, I'm going to take you to lunch. No, like I'm going to take you to dinner and a movie. I'm going to take you to dinner and a show, whatever. Back there in the 1930s, you're gonna give them what they want, right? Don't you want the person that you're trying to woo to give kind of get the impression that you want them? And by telling someone no, you're not worth what you want, I'm going to give you less, isn't like the first step of like building somebody's like, you got to draw them in a little bit, but that's just not Jed style because he always wants to win the deal. But I just don't have faith that he's going to actually be on the up and up with these deals. But that's what I'm saying. When I hear there's an offer, that yippee, like, and they had no gauge on whether or not it was a good offer or not. It's just there was like an offer, like, and it is
interesting. Because again, even if it is a low ball, even if it is just like a low ball, like that would still be like the Cubs just haven't operated in that that sphere of like reliever.
Right.
In so many since Kimbrel, That was 20, and that was after, that was like in the middle of the season because they didn't want to give up the draft pick. And that's been what, 6 years? Or 5 years. Insane. All right. I mean, that's a little exciting, but again, that does mean probably we're seeing. It sadly looks and it's sad because it's not a move. It doesn't seem like it's a direct move to get better. It seems like it's a direct move to hopefully the next move is to get better. Is trading Cody Bellinger, because the goal there is to free up money so that you can then do something else, which. We are talking about one of the biggest markets, and we year after year have to be like, well, the payroll we got to get below the luxury tax, can't go over. Frustrating times every offseason seems like. There is one more name, Jose Leclerc, who was reliever for the Texas Ranger. He's a free agent. He had that insane run in the postseason when the Rangers won the World Series in 2023. But then I was looking back at his numbers and his career with the Rangers. He's never really been their closer. I don't know, but I don't know. Maybe you give him a shot with the Cubs. Again, it's scary that he doesn't have that track record of being the guy. But he's put up some impressive numbers throughout his career. I wouldn't, and maybe just get him as a setup man. I wouldn't mind that either. Jose.
Who's Tanner Scott's agent? Is my question.
I think he was MVP group.
So he's not a Boris guy. So
no, he's not.
Good, we can put.
Which,
that,
by the way,
annoying.
The Boris guys. Have you seen the four free agent starting pitchers that have signed early? All Boris guys. I think they saw something last offseason. Let's get our money before it goes away this time.
It could be.
Because I was surprised that Matthew Boyd. I was like, oh, that kind of Matthew Boyd's like, yeah, let me just jump on this now, because if the market gets any worse and I'm still a free agent in January, I'm not.
He was a free agent until June. He's probably like, hell yeah, I got a team in November.
Frankie Montas. Look at Frankie Montas' numbers. That dude got what, $36 million from the Mets. Crazy. Anything else you got heading into the winter meetings?
No, I mean, just keep an eye out on the pups. Don't get too attached. Brace yourselves. It's gonna hurt. You're gonna lose someone you like. Someone you like. But you know what you like more? Winning. So deal with it, right? We said goodbye to KB and Javi and Rizzo and Schwarby, and we'll say goodbye to these prospects that we barely knew. Okay, they were kids that you saw at elementary school. You're in high school. Grow up. All right, they got to go sometimes. Sometimes they end up moving. It happens, but don't get too attached. Let's see if Jed Hoyer. I mean, I personally think Jed Hoyer is a great farmer and a hell of a shitty cook. So he's great at farming. He gets you all the nice prospects, nice vegetables and everything. But you put that guy in the kitchen and he fucking burns this shit. He's just burning it. It's bad. He's not cooking. So Jed Hoyer gets one more shot to really cook. This is his offseason to cook. If he doesn't cook after this offseason, I can't imagine him coming back. I can't. Why?
I agree with you.
So this is it. This is Jed Hoyer's last audition to continue the job. And so he has to get creative. There's no other point. And it's not competing with I don't want to hear about competing in the Central. I want to hear about competing with the Los Angeles Dodgers, and that's the end of it. There's no other litmus test. We can stop saying, well, they only won one title, and that was during the shortened COVID. Not anymore now, and they're set up very nicely. So you're going to have to beat the evil empire, and then the evil empire has shifted from the East Coast, and now it's chilling over here on the West Coast, and it's insufferable already. Dodgers fans are really getting annoying. So please do something about it. That's about it. And also have a Merry Christmas. We don't talk to you guys beforehand. A Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, which starts, I think, on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day this year. But
well, I was gonna say, fingers crossed that winter meetings are next week, starting Monday through Thursday. I think is when they run. Hopefully, we do see some Cubs move, and we'll be on next week. If not, we'll wait until there is a significant Cubs move. We're not going to come on for minor league signings. Sorry.
At this point,
but I do think that I don't know why I do think a trade's coming. Just there's so much talk where it's like a trade's gonna come. It might suck at first, but I think I don't know. Maybe I'm being too optimistic. Where I think eventually it works out, and it would
After
be nice to
KBM.
finally. I do have to say, when we always look
Get
at
inside.
big trades, and like you said, it if you're getting a star player, guess what team it works out for more often than not. It's the team that gets the star player.
Yeah.
For any
besides,
White Sox
we do
fans
that.
listening,
We're all dead inside anyway after.
right? Like for any White Sox
Start
fans listening, Chris Sale trade. Look how that panned out. It was like the Red Sox got the World Series. White Sox got two at the time top 100, like top 5 MLB prospects, and couldn't do anything with them. So exciting! I think it is going to be an exciting week coming up. So stick around and see for the Pinwheelers and Ivy Pod next week. Shout out to Mitch for the pregame show.
Yep.
Sox talk. Man, that's tough. That's tough for the Sox. Looking on the other side, it's like historical, like just worst team of all time, and we're about to trade the best pitcher on the team.
But they're gonna get Jordan Wicks and Owen Casey and James Triantos though.
Yes.
So that's a good cornerstone to rebuild in a pretty quick manner, right? They'll be a year or two away.
I think that's what sucks though, is that like the way that their front office like seems to be operating, I think they're like, no, like it's gonna be a slow process. I think they're like, we're gonna be bad for a while still. But we'll see. Again, we'll see. But yes, Owen Casey to the White Sox, headliner for Garrett Crochet. We don't make the rules. Sorry. But for Kevin, I'm Aldo. This is the Pinwheels and Ivy podcast. Until